Alright, now I am back for another part talking about this Remington 870. Where I left you was I told you that I would be coming back to fully break down this Remington 870, and so now we're going to get into it and kind of break it down. And that's which leads me to another reason of why I love this weapon, which is these two pieces right here, a hammer and a pin punch, are really two of the only things you really need to break down this Remington 870. You really do not need anything else outside your hands, of course, to break down this Remington 870. It's really that easy. So now let's get into it. To kind of break it down, first, one of the things you do is you half cock the slide on the shotgun, because you cannot leave it all the way open because you're not able to remove the barrel if you do that, and then you can also not do it all the way down because as you go later and later into some of the stages, it won't allow you to do more of the stages in breaking it down if you do it all the way down. So it's really best, I should say, if you do it like halfway like that. So, and then once you have it like that, then you unscrew it up here at the top, this little cap on the end, and then once you have that off, then you will slide the barrel off like this. See that? And then just go ahead and just set the barrel off to the side. And then that's kind of the first step. And now you kind of get into really the internals of the weapon. The first thing you'll want to do is take the pin punch, take the hammer, and just kind of punch out these two pins right here. Sometimes you gotta kind of elevate it off of like the table to create a little room to be able to do it. And there we go. There's the first one, and there is the second one. If the camera didn't catch that, what I did was basically, I'll show you. I took this hammer and I punched the small pin punch out, and then I went over here to the larger pin punch and I punched that one out. And basically with these two pins right here held in was the main trigger mechanism. I'll show you. Basically what you do to take that one out is you just pull straight out. And sometimes it takes a little bit of English just to kind of pull it out. There we go. Again, if the camera didn't catch that, basically what I did there was just pulled that this whole trigger mechanism out from the bottom. Okay, so now that's out. And now the final piece is to slide the slide off. And now you just gotta make sure that you don't drop the bolt on the floor. And also, you may not, before I forget, there are two little lips on the bottom here, one on the left and one on the right. Whenever you're pulling it out, you only have to press one side, but whenever you're putting it back in, you gotta press both sides. And so basically, as you're pulling it out, just go ahead and pull out and push down on those two little lips. And sometimes, again, it takes a little English to get them out. There we go. Got that. Got the bolt. And that's a little block that goes with the bolt. And there is the pump. And now you have a fully disassembled 870. Got the trigger, the bolt, block that goes with the bolt, the pump, the barrel, the little bolt that goes at the end over here. So that's how you break down an 870. And so now, to put it back together, what you do is you first grab the pump and put it right side up, and then you kind of feed these two little lips in there. Sometimes it takes a little maneuvering. And then you take a little block that goes with it. This right here becomes the reason why I love to have the camera on my head as opposed to actually. Oh, yeah, that was right. I'm sorry. Again, as I've said before, I'm not a perfect person for these guns. Again, am still making mistakes today on these weapons. But the most important thing that I'm doing is I'm getting here and I'm immersing myself in becoming more and more knowledgeable about these weapons. I am by no means a complete expert on these weapons. I've listened to a lot of other people talk about them, and so thus that's the only way that I learned how to assemble and disassemble these. And so let me go ahead and explain what I just did for people who don't know. I punched both the left and the right side little lips on the side of on the inside of the main part of the weapon here. And as you're pushing down on those little lips, you also push the slide back in. And now it should move free inside the main part of the weapon. Just like that. Okay, so now that is back in. Now you put the trigger block back in. And the most important thing to remember about this trigger block is that whenever you're putting this back in, you gotta push this little lip back in to make it snap back in. So this little lip right here, you gotta push it back in as you're pushing the whole block back in. And let me show you. Generally what I like to do is I like to feed this tail end down here on the far right over first, and then again pushing that little lip back in as you're pushing the whole block back in, and then you're just kind of feeding it in, making sure everything is lined up at the same time. And then again, sometimes you just gotta use a little bit of English to kind of set it back in. Then one good way to make sure that you got it back in is to see the holes match up in where the pins are punched in back into the weapon. So now let's get, oh, there we go. There we go. It was seated a little off. There we go. Again, as I've said before, I'll say it again, but I'm not perfect by any means. But the fact is that you gotta just kind of go out there and you just gotta do it. You just gotta practice assembling and disassembling these. Because that's the only way you know how to do it, is if you come out here and do it. And there we go. So now the bolt and the trigger block are both back in. And so now I'm going to put the barrel back on again. What I like to do is just set it down on its butt and then line up the barrel down here by the main part of the weapon, and then line up this other part up here, and then just slide it into place, lock it in, and then screw this little nut back on. And then you'll know it's done screwing whenever you can no longer screw it anymore, and it's nice and secure. And then the way to test it is to just kind of rack it and then take it off safe and just go ahead and fire a couple of shots. And that's how you know that it's fully disassembled correctly, because it wouldn't be able to operate correctly it unless you disassembled it correctly. So that is kind of a tutorial on how to disassemble a Remington 870 shotgun pump action. And if anybody out there has any questions or any suggestions on how I could make this video better or worse, or if anybody out there thinks I did a terrible job at doing this, or if anybody thought I did a really good job at doing this, I would really appreciate any constructive criticism. But again, this is for pretty much anybody out there who is wondering about how to break down a Remington 870 pump action shotgun. So I appreciate anybody who watched, and please subscribe and comment and like if you'd like to. And it's all appreciated. Thank you.